Hey guys, thanks for stopping by Gregsbeerreviews today. Yeah, the old clock says it's 5 o'clock. Beer 30. Let's go see what's in the fridge today. Hey guys, thanks for stopping by Gregsbeerreviews today. Today's beer comes from Perrin Brewing Company. These guys are out of Comstock Park, Michigan. And not seen any of their beers around here. Uh, these guys have been in business since 2012, so about 5 years on this brewery. And I was contacted by the people there, one of the guys that worked there, and put me in contact with Lindsay. And they contacted me and wanted to know if I wanted to review some stuff from them, and they sent me a nice little package from them. And I said, well, sure. And I did notice on the cans that they sent me, they had the dates on them, but the big bottles like this, they sent me several different bombers of their stuff, and they're the bigger beers. And didn't notice anything on the label or even on the bottle with that dark beer in there. And I'll look again when I come back, see if there's any kind of vintage anywhere on the bottle anywhere. I would like to see them put that on there somewhere to let us know in case they do this year after year. I'm not exactly sure whether this is the first time they've done this or they've done it before, or they do it every year. I'm not exactly sure. This is their unfinished business, a very colorful label. Japanese Imperial Stout aged in single malt bourbon barrels. 13.1% alcohol by volume. I don't see the IBUs written on the label anywhere, but I did find it elsewhere. And it's got some writing here from the breweries. And I'm not going to read it because it's pretty long. But I do appreciate Lindsay contacting me and sending me the package. So, and that's the way it goes a lot of times, guys. I have breweries contacting me wanting to send me beers, and a lot of my subscribers, Rico and all the other ones, David, Andrew, Brandon, I mean, there's a slew of them. And every week I get an email from somebody wanting to send me something, and I do appreciate it to everybody that sends me beers that I can't get here. So, you know, like I said, a lot of times I come home and there's a beer in my package on the porch. It's like Christmas for this guy. Because I know it's got something in there, whether it's good or not. It's more than likely something I cannot get here, and I like to try. That's why we've done 2,500 beer reviews, so it's a good problem to have, and I enjoy it. So that's why I got this big old belly here. I don't eat a whole lot, but all these heavy beers like this will stack the weight on you. And I don't go to the gym or any of that kind of stuff, guys. I mean, it is what it is, and I've been a chubby kid all my life. So if there's a famine, I ought to be able to live for a couple of weeks on what I got growing here on the front. This shed, the tool shed. So let's see what this one brings to the table. I do have IBUs from Rate Beer, and they do have the right ABV here. They're saying it's 35 on this beer. So, and while we're here, I'll tell you the commercial description says, as we continue to push our outer banners of stylistic freedom, it looks like it's the same thing that's written on the side of the label here. Our brew team aggressively swings the sword with our own version of Japanese Imperial Stout, handpicking 10 specialty malts, the finest flaked oats, golden wheat, and Japanese rice to give the body of this beer a silky, smooth, and clean mouth feel. And a lot of the cheaper beers, Budweiser and them, use corn and rice and some of the other cheaper, instead of barley, the cheaper ingredients, but sometimes it works out pretty well. So let's see what this brings to the table. It says it brings a silky smooth and clean mouthfeel. To lay and age this rare beer down, they found a cache of barrels from a small batch award-winning bourbon distillery out of Washington. These heavily toasted rare American bourbon barrels impart hints of light vanilla, coconut, and fresh oak. The dark bourbon notes add warmth, caramel, ripe tobacco, and soothing boozy finish to this velvety stout. Our unfinished business will make a great addition to your library of unique and sought-after bomber collection. So, Lindsay, once again, I do appreciate you sending me the beers that you did. We will get to some of the other canned versions. This is the final beer of the evening for me, and that's what I do, guys. I start out with a lighter beer, and then I'll drink, whether it's an IPA, and then I'm going to move to a double IPA or some kind of saison or whatever, and finish up with something a little heavier. And if anybody follows me, they'll know that the way the beer reviews go, they'll see, oh, he's doing an IPA or a Hefeweizen or a pale ale or an amber, and then he moves to something a little heavier, and then he finishes up with something a little stronger like this. And these bourbon barrel aged beers are awesome, and that's why I finish up with something like this usually when I can. And I've got quite a few of those stashed in the closet and in the fridge that I've been doing, and these beers will keep for a long time. Unless they brewed them with coffee or something that's going to fade, I usually save these beers for, final beer of the evening type series. So, and that's what this one is. So we're going to do this one, sip on it for a while, and then when I get done finishing with the beer, I'll have dinner, and that'll be it for me for the evening. I'll go to bed and wake up tomorrow and go to the gun store and hopefully sell some bunch of guns. So let's get on with this. I don't want it to be a 30-minute video. We've read everything we need to read, so let me get the cap off of this while I tell you. The cheeses are buttery, brie, Gouda, Havarti, Swiss, and goes well with your chocolate dishes, of course. Let's drop it down the middle here. And the meat is beef, smoked meat, game, and grilled meat. Glassware, a pint, Bacaronic, tumbler, snifter, oversized wine glass. I got my favorite snifter. And it says here can be solid for a long period of time. About a finger of head on that pour. Good looking dark beer there. A little bit of red rubiness coming through the bottom of the glass in the light. Pretty dark up here in the big bowl part of the glass. Let's get a nose to it. Now it's not super overpowering in the bourbon notes of the alcohol. I'm getting molasses and roasted malt. Maybe a little bit of brown sugar. Not getting a lot of tobacco in the nose or bittersweet chocolate. Not getting a lot of vanilla or oakiness in the nose, but that may come out. It's right out of the fridge, 40 degrees. And those notes sometimes come out once it warms up. Well, let's dive in and see what we got. Cheers, everybody. Cheers, Lindsay and Jake and everybody up at Perrin Brewing. On the taste, I'm getting hints of licorice. Roasted malt. Nice sweetness. I don't know if they've used any lactose in the brewing. Alcohol is astoundingly well hidden for 13.1%. This one will get you in trouble if you're not drinking it at home. Especially if you're trying to drink multiple glasses of a 13.1%. That is really smooth for this big of a beer. That is very tasty. Very nice sweetness to the back end of this beer. That's delicious. That is very, very good. Single malt bourbon barrels. Not getting a lot of the bourbon notes in this. Had a lot boozier beers, even at an 8% or so, than I am from this. Everything seems to be blended very well. That's why I'd like to know what the vintage is. Is this a 2016, which is last year? Or is it earlier? Is it a 2015 or 2014? How long it's been? This come from the brewery, so I would hope that this was their last edition. And I would like to see that written somewhere, either on the bottle, if they're going to reuse the labels over and over again, or if they're not, to actually have it printed on the label. 2015, 2016 vintage. I'd like to see the month too, but not super critical. But you know, if you're trying to do a vertical, was it done in January of 2016 or was it done in December of 2016? Just to know, so you know how old the beer is. Is it 2, 3, 4 months old, or is it 12, 13, 14 months old? Just like to see that, guys. It's just me. It's just my OCD. You know how I am. You know how I am. So, well, let's sip on it for a while, pour her glass, and might step out on the deck and fire up a stogie to go with this while I'm sipping on it. If the wind don't blow me away, it's been blowing about 50 miles an hour today. Wintertime. I hate it. Ready for summer. Bring it on. I'll be right back. Alright guys, I got a little bit left here. Very tasty, very smooth. Oh, I got hiccups. For a 13.1%er. Very easy drinking. I've had beers that are 8% that were more boozy than this. A little disappointed with the not the boozy, but the bourbon notes that I'm getting here. Almost seems like it's not a first run bourbon barrel, but it may, excuse me, I got the hiccups. May not be a first run bourbon barrel. It could be. I don't know how long they've left it in the bourbon barrels. I mean, some of these breweries, they'll throw it in there in 3 or 4 weeks, they'll jerk it out and they'll bottle it. And some of them leave it in there 3, 6, 12 months. And a lot of more of that bourbon will soak into the beer. So it just depends on how long they left it in the barrel. And whether it was the first run bourbon barrel, this first time it's had beer in it. Hiccups. But I found it very, very tasty, guys. Very smooth drinking for a 13.1%. I did enjoy this. When I come back, I looked at the bottle. I couldn't find any kind of dating or vintage or anything like that on there. I wish they would put something on there. They do their cans, but the big bottles, I didn't see anything as far as dating or vintage or any of that from the big bottles that they sent me. So, Lindsay, I would like to see something on the bottle as far as vintage. Excuse me. God. As far as, you know, stamp it on the bottle somewhere, and if you're going to reuse the label and don't want to put it on the label because you're going to reuse it, I understand that. But I'd kind of like to know. That's just me. It's just my OCD. Even though it's a barrel-aged, bourbon barrel-aged stout, I would like to know the vintage of it, in case I want to do a vertical, in case y'all do this every year or whatever. So it's a very enjoyable beer, very smooth, like I said, for a 13.1%. So let's do the final chug on this one, so I can get it down without hiccuping. Hints of vanilla are there now that it's warmed up. Tobacco, roasted malt, caramel, toffee, brown sugar, molasses. Not a big dark fruit note on this beer, but it is super smooth. Probably one of the smoothest 13%er I think I've probably ever drank. Especially for a bourbon barrel age. Usually those are kind of heavy on the bourbon notes or the boozy notes. This one is not. This one is definitely not boozy at all. Very well done. Super smooth. Unbelievably smooth for a 13%. That's why I said earlier, this would probably get you in trouble if you're not drinking at home. If they did keg some of this, and you can get it at a brew pub or a bar or whatever somewhere, especially around where they're out of in Michigan. Just be aware if you're drinking at 13%, it drinks like a 7 or an 8%. So you don't get a whole lot of those. I'm not the bourbon notes or the booziness from a beer this big. So very well done. I will say that. To me, guys, I'm gonna give this an A minus. Like I said, I would like to see a vintage on it, but it does not have it. I looked at the bottle and it does not have anything written on it at all. So A minus, 92 is what I'm gonna give it. Let's run over to Beer Advocate. Beer Advocate says 89, and very good range. I think it's a couple of digits above that. And over to Rate Beer. Rate Beer guys were not impressed at all, nary at all with this beer. They give it overall 80 and 23 in the style. Maybe those guys were a little upset because they wasn't getting a lot of bourbon notes there. I'm not really sure. I wasn't getting a whole lot either for something that's been aged in a bourbon barrel. Not big notes of that. So that's my only. Evidently that's their biggest fuss. I didn't read the reviews on this site, but I think you should have a little bit more of the bourbon notes. Like I said, I don't know how long they left it in the barrel, so I couldn't find out. I went to their website, and it basically says the same thing that's on the bottle here, and it tells you the ABV. It doesn't tell when it was brewed or anything like that. So. Our final check-in, we'll run over to Untapped. Untapped has it at 4.12, which is in their A category, and that's about where I would put it too. It's the bottom end of the A category. So if you've had this one from Perrin Brewing Company, their unfinished business, and according to the label, Japanese Imperial Stout aged in single malt bourbon barrels. Not big bourbon notes on this from me, guys, but very, very smooth, very well made beer. So we can get them to put a vintage on it, that'd be great. So if you've had this one, guys, from them, let me know what you're thinking. Come on back tomorrow. Let's take something tasty out of the fridge. See you then.